Well, it looks like we are live. I see some folks coming in, maybe just a couple. Um, since it is, well, it's what time is it for you? You're overseas, so I'm in Dallas, so it's 11 a.m. Let's give people some context. Where are we at right now?
It's 5 o'clock in the evening here.
5 o'clock in the evening here. Well, we're kind of in the lunch hour right now, so folks who are joining right now are likely eating or getting ready to eat. So if you're joining us for this workshop, really appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. Um, Today we're going to talk about like why nurturing readers matters. Inside the publishing spectrum, we've been exploring some changes inside the Substack algorithm and the discoverability network. And for me, I feel like it's good news because I am someone who doesn't want to work from formulas, but I do like knowing best practices so that I can create a publication that I actually enjoy. Um, Writing. And so part of my plan for 2026 and our readers is to host these workshops. I have recruited the great Laura Robinson, who's a 20-year marketing veteran, to join us in really drilling down into the places that affect your readers and nurturing them. So this is the first of several workshops that we're going to be hosting on the publishing spectrum because I like to go deep into like the best practice around how we nurture readers instead of just saying, well, there's a drip campaign, you should do it. I want to talk about the principles. I want to talk about why, because what I want most for anybody who's watching this workshop is for you to take what we talk about and apply it to your publication, your readership, what you know about them, and then create something that's authentic that does invite them into your publication. So um, today, I think the last thing that I'll say about nurturing your readers that I think a lot of folks on Substack have questions around is like, how do I do this without threatening my publication itself? Like I love my stories or I love my podcast or I love the thing I'm creating, but nurturing a readership feels like funnily or it feels icky and it feels, I'm just part of the hyper capitalistic, degrading of society. And I think what's really important is that part of what we're going to be laying the foundation for over the next few months inside the publishing spectrum is the fact that I want you to have your publication up here so that your creativity is protected from the work of nurturing your publication. And so those are two different mindsets. Those are two different skills. And I want you to stay in creative flow when you're writing your publication. And then I want you to bring a different hat when we think about what does it take to move a reader from never known anything about you to trusting you, to potentially upgrading, to joining you on events. That's really important to me. So today's workshop is all about just the principles of inviting new readers. And this is important. And I really love this sort of polish that Laura brought to this is that it's really important to think about readers in their awareness of who you are. And so today is all about new readers. So you get new readers in. What are like the principles of just not just good manners, but like how do you let them know what you're here and what you offer? And so um I love working with Laura. Laura's helped me through some really important business transitions in my life, and I like how she thinks about people. I like how she is always thinking about how to respect the person and how you're showing up inside their inbox, which is really important in Substack land where people are saturated now with the newsletters they can subscribe to. Um, but yeah, today is all about those principles, and so I've already talked quite a bit in today's workshop, and I want to just lay that groundwork that like this is different work from your creative what you do inside your creative flow inside your publication. This is intentional sort of scaffolding that you build in around what you publish. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Laura, and we're just going to talk through these principles. We'll try and leave some room at the end, I think, for a little Q&A. But if you have more questions, my publishing mentorship space will be open the next couple of days to just talk through how you apply this to your own publication. So without further ado, thank you, Laura. Thank you for being here. Thank you for meeting us in your evening and our general lunchtime span.
It's like I love this because this is like thinking about all of my marketing knowledge and then how do I apply it to Substack has made me it's like going off a gear, and things can feel a bit samey, or you can get trapped in thinking about things in a loop. And I like this fresh perspective, and then it's making me think, okay, how do I apply what I've just learned through having these conversations with you to the rest of my marketing activity? So I'm really enjoying the stretch that this is giving me. And I also love this idea of if on Substack, like, you want to protect your creativity and you don't want to do the marketing thing, and it's like this big bad scary gremlin that we don't want to touch. And I'm trying to make it like it's not scary, it's friendly, it is just good manners, it's just showing people around, it's helping them feel welcome, showing them what's possible and what's next for them. So um hopefully people will feel excited about welcoming their new subscribers by the end of this workshop.
Yeah. I think they will. I think this is like, I think everyone has a different relationship with how they make ultimately what is a buying decision. Like your inbox access is access to your attention, and then eventually there's usually an invitation to give more of your attention, time, or money. So um, I think each person has their own relationship with like what creates the ick for them. And so I
Mhm.
feel like today we'll be able to talk through like how these principles like give you freedom to not ever have to be icky. Like you don't
Mhm.
have to be icky. Like the whole point
Yeah.
is to be yourself.
And I want to say, like, I've got 5 principles, and they're not in any particular order. So when I work with like online businesses and it's a traditional sales funnel, I can even like write them almost a template welcome sequence that says, in email 1 you want to do this, in email 2 you want to do this. I've taken those ideas and then turned them into kind of more general principles so that people can apply them in the order that they want them to. It might not be 5 separate emails. You might be tackling a few of the principles in one email. So yeah, I can cover them all 5, but they're like the order that I give them to you are not. That's not like any particular priority,
Yeah.
or one's not more important than the other.
Yeah. Well, that's really good to know. Okay. So yeah, so let's talk about like principle one. Like what
Okay.
came to mind first?
So the first one is uh, earlier. So these principles are all things that you want to establish very early on in your relationship with your new subscriber, and so it makes sense to do that with an automated email sequence because you know that everybody has seen those emails as soon as they're signed up. And the first thing you want to establish with them is why you do what you do. So they understand that there's purpose and intention behind the content that you're creating. And it kind of cements their understanding. It's almost like categorizing what your emails are about. So they would, when they signed up, they kind of understood what they were signing up for. But when you take it this layer deeper of why you do what you do, why have you created this particular platform? Why do you write about what you write about? It makes it deeper so that when they see your name in their inbox, it's a stronger connection to them expecting what knowing what to expect when they open that email.
Yeah. 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 So like why you do what you do. Is that kind of
And it doesn't need to be complicated. It could just be like one sentence. It can be like referring them back to your about page, because I know on Substack it's kind of tucked away there, and if they didn't see it in the menu bar, they might not have seen that before they signed up. So you can just refer them back to content you've already got. If you've got a video where, or a podcast interview or something where you're talking and you're like extra specially passionate about your subject matter, that's a really great thing to link to. So it doesn't have to be like brand new original content. It's just a way to, like I say, like cement that understanding of your name, the name of your newsletter, and then what is this, the purpose, the passion, the function behind it.
yeah, no, I really like that. And one of what as you were talking, I was thinking about how there's this really large subset of fiction writers on Substack where establishing authority can be this gray area, right? Of like, what's my authority? And I think that a different word for authority could be like, what are you passionate about? Like, why do I write stories like X? And that can even, I feel like that's a way to like I think you can establish authority and connection by just saying, "I write this because I love it," or "I've loved." If you've loved this author for this many years, like I have, I think you'll enjoy my writing, and I want you to have a chance to learn more about it. So, I like to give people permission that like authority isn't just I'm a New York Times bestselling author, which is fantastic. If you are, like, tell people that, but also your own experience of your work how much you love it helps build that trust and authority too. So,
You
um,
know when you're reading something, like, when someone's written something and they were absolutely alive when they were writing that. Like, you can
yeah,
feel the energy and the way that it comes through.
yes,
And we like to think like every single thing we write is going to be like that, but it's not, because that's
Yep.
not how life works.
Yep.
So when someone arrives brand new to your world, if they happen to arrive in a week when you weren't really feeling it so much, so the
Yep.
first 2 or 3 newsletters they see don't have that energy, then they've missed the opportunity to have that connection with you. Whereas if you have something that's automated that delivers that energy, it's you know for sure they're going to get an email
They're
or
gonna.
get signposted to a
Yes.
piece of
Yes.
content or to your about page where that was that was my best self. I showed up with the most passion, the most enthusiasm. I really want people to hear that voice. You know that if they arrive during an off week, they're still going to see the best of you as one of their first emails.
Yes, I love that. That's actually incredibly comforting for me because I think I think a lot of at least the readers inside my publication, like we have a very resonant connection with our work, and that doesn't mean that we're always super energetic about it. Like there are times where we have to like withdraw, pull back, and like regroup our energy. And I love the idea of it just being kind of carried, like your new readers are carried through that. Um, yeah. Gosh, it's so nice. Like, I know that, but just hearing you talk about it, it makes me feel, just makes me feel good. Okay, so principle 2, the next thing.
Okay, so principle 2 is kind of the other way round. We want them to reconnect with why they said yes to you being in their inbox. And a clever way of doing that is asking a reflective question in an early email. It doesn't, sometimes you can get them to reply. Like you say, I'd like to hear your replies. That can be great for, getting that engagement going and deepening the connection. But it can just be a kind of a rhetorical question. So they just ask it of themselves and you're not expecting a response. I think you've already got a really good example of that. You in your email sequence, don't you say something where I can guess why you're here or why you signed up? I can't remember the exact phrasing of it.
Yes, yes. I think I said like I have a hunch you and I have something in common. And I think the question is like when you hear someone invite you to 10x your growth, do you roll your eyes?
Yeah, it's like it's simple and you don't need a reply from them, but it kind of affirm, they probably picked up on that messaging when they signed up in the first place, but it's something that reminds them, oh, this is why you said yes to this person.
Yes. And I think this is a fun principle to kind of flex a little bit around because sometimes I feel pressure to like just always be inspirational, right? Like that, like I should be inspiring and I should have like just all my best stuff. And this is actually an incredibly practical sort of grounding principle that I think in my editing of welcome emails in the past, there was definitely a point where I had to like, am I being too, oh, what's the word, Laura? Is it dull to say like why are you here? But I forget that like they need scaffolding around why they're here. And so I love this principle because it reminds me that like the practical reasons of like why you're here and what to expect actually does help build trust. That it doesn't all have to be um I think my instinct is that it has to be like a symphony, right? It has to be like something that just blows them away. And it's like actually sometimes the simple things of like, here's why you're here, here's what you'll get. Um are
Even
really
in a
helpful to readers too.
like even in a symphony, there are gaps where there's like
Yes.
pause and silence and time to
Yes.
reflect. Or
Yes.
if you're like when you were talking, it was making me think of like like spoon feeding a child. Like here,
Yes.
have this, have this, have this. Like, but if you don't ever pause and let them like rest, digest, swallow what you've given them, like
Yes.
you need to give them time to catch up. So having like a bit of to and fro in your emails is a good idea. It's not all just like here, have all of this great stuff that they need to consume. It's nice for them to
Yeah.
have a gap or reflection space as well.
Yes. No, I really appreciate that. What are your thoughts on because I think there's so many different ways you could do this, like um promising like listing out like all the different types of things you might give them. Because I feel like there's a point where it could get overwhelming, but like
Mhm.
what do you how do you kind of edit for that when you think about the basics of like should we tell them it's 1 to 2 essays plus a bonus workshop once a month? Is that a good place to mention that, or how
For
should
your
go?
it's a different relationship or different expectation for the free content versus Like when you're charging, when they're entering a paid tier, then yeah, you need to say like, this is the contract. Like, you pay me and this is what you can expect.
Yeah, yeah.
On a free tier where you're giving away free content, I think it's useful to set some kind of expectation. Like, I would want to know if you're someone that's going to email me every day versus someone who's going to email me once a week. But if it's somewhere between like 1 and 3 times a week, it's fine for it to be like this vagueness of, I email a
Yes.
few times a week, and it's sometimes a mixture of my personal experiences, questions you'll be interested in, and resources I found useful. Like, it can be eclectic. It can be a mixture. They're going to find, like, they've already signed out. They signed up. They're going to find out one email after another. And the risk is, I see people pledge a lot in the, like, either on the sign up page or in those first few emails, and then they like that does crush the creativity and also the relationship that you can have, because with your subscribers it's a relationship, it's back and forth, you see what they respond to, that's, you create more of that. And if you've set this expectation that you feel like you have to live up to, because 6 months ago I told them when they signed up I was going to email them at 10 a.m. every Tuesday.
Right. Yeah.
Like, nobody wants that. Like, do they care? No, they would want you to be doing your best work and really enjoying doing it. Is way more important than what you promised them at the start of the email sequence.
Yep. Yep. No, I like that a lot. Um, okay, so let's talk about principle 3.
Okay, this
Because
is
this
one
is an
like,
interesting one.
yeah, I know everyone's going to go, oh no, do I really have to? Okay, principle 3, very early on, like even possibly from the first email, you need to set the expectation that there are things to buy. That does not mean that you're giving them a hard sell, that you're giving them your best pitch. It's not about being like, being pushy or making people feel uncomfortable. But nobody likes to be blindsided by a surprise like promotion when they didn't know there was something to buy in the first place. It's much better to set the expectation early that yes, like, I have a free tier and a paid tier. And if you have other offers, like, lots of people have consulting offers or other ways to work with them, just let them know it exists and where they can find out more information. It's polite, but it also it like sets the tone of the relationship that you are not there to, that you don't exist just to provide free content. There's other aspects to your life, there's other parts of your business or your channel, or however you're set up. They need to know that that is an option for them.
Yeah, I think that's I appreciate this principle because it's probably where I've had to grow the most, around how because I feel like there's a difference between saying, "Buy this in your welcome email," versus saying, "Here's what I create around this newsletter and inside this newsletter." And once I kind of gave myself permission to talk about the thing I love, like, I love hosting a publishing mentorship. Like, I genuinely do. Like, that is something I enjoy, and I want you to know about it. And over time, you'll figure out whether or not that's something that you want. It's not a hard push for me, but I think the one of the things that buying does is it changes your relationship with that reader. And if you plant that in their minds at the beginning, that this could become a deeper resource for you, in the future, I think there's something alchemical that like gives you like the
Mhm.
confidence to say, like, I've already told them that I would remind them about these really wonderful things that I like doing. So I just want to acknowledge that I think historically I've wanted to strike like an authentic balance. And it's not that I'm asking you to buy something. I'm telling you that like this is part of a bigger thing that I'm building and now you're a part of it too. So I don't know if that's helpful for anybody. Um, but like permission to know that there's something to buy. It's
Mhm.
pretty fantastic. Yep. Okay, so principle 4.
Okay, this one, your back catalogue, you need like, so you most of the people watching are gonna have some kind of back catalogue of content that's there. It's up on the and someone arrives, they're like, whoa, there's this big wall of all of these different posts. We need to turn that into a blessing, not a curse. Because for a new person just arriving, it can feel a lot like the cool girls party. Like, I've arrived and there's clearly like this great party happening, and there's comments and people are really enjoying this, and they just don't know like, where do I jump in? How do I get started? We talked about it a little bit in the last live that we did, where like, so you can be
Yep,
clicking around and then you're like, oh no, that's gated content. Let me see if I can find something else. Like, that's frustrating. But
yep,
even if it was all ungated content, all free, especially if you write like, it's huge, it's long, and it requires a